I'm very happy to present as our fourth speaker, Mike Pach. Mike photographed a tree behind his home every day for a year. He learned valuable lessons in creativity, mindfulness, achieving goals, and managing mental health while doing it. So here is Mike Pach presenting Same Tree, Different Day.
Is that good? Okay. All right, ready. Can a tree change your life? A tree behind my home changed my life and taught me many things as I photographed it from my backyard every day for a year. My goal for this project was to create a unique photo every day of the same subject, and I'm going to share the stories behind some of those photos. This is the first image I took of the tree the day after a snowstorm. I was working from home and set up my camera in my backyard while on my lunch break. Later that afternoon, the idea came to me to photograph the tree every day for a year to see what I could capture. Because I was open to receiving and acting upon my idea, I was able to see it through. This slide illustrates the view through my camera at 33 feet high and 50 feet wide. What amazes me when I look at all the photos I took is how many incredible things were captured in this very small space. And these are things we would normally miss because we're too busy and not living in the moment. This is a view of my yard. This pine tree, which partially blocked my view of the tree that I photographed every day, blew over one night during a storm. I felt such a strong connection with my surroundings during this project that I saw this as a sign from the universe, and it was saying, "We like what you're doing, and we're going to help you out a bit." I wasn't supposed to be home this day, but a punctured gas tank forced me to drive back from the mountains. My bad mood worsened when I saw a rainstorm over my neighborhood, and I thought, great, what else is going to happen? Shortly after arriving, this double rainbow appeared, and I got this shot. I felt this was another sign from the universe. I got up for sunrise most days. On this morning, I woke up 15 minutes before my alarm and looked out the window. Since there were clouds in the sky, I got dressed and went outside with my camera. I then noticed the crescent moon below the branches. Had I gotten up 15 minutes later, the moon would have been higher in the sky and I would have missed this shot. I love thunderstorms, and this photo is my personal favorite. You should have seen me standing in my yard wearing my rain gear, holding my umbrella over my camera and tripod as the storm rolled directly overhead. I'm definitely glad the lightning didn't hit the tree so I could finish my project. Many times, something interesting would occur within minutes of me going outside. On this day, I set the camera on the tripod with my remote and started walking towards the tree. About halfway there, I heard geese and ran back to my yard. I grabbed my remote, held down the shutter button, and this is the first photo I captured. I captured several rainbows along with many other things that I envisioned I would photograph. Even though I photographed most of the things I imagined I would, there were still things I didn't. This forced me not to get hung up on preconceived notions and allowed me to utilize my creativity in other ways. This is my squirrel friend, we'll call him Roger. He would often visit very early in the morning, so I call this photo the early squirrel. Most people don't notice Roger at first, but once they see him, they like the photo even more. This is proof that sometimes the smallest details can make all the difference. Roger visited so much, I could tell it was him by the way he interacted with the tree. He'd approach from the left, stopping every few feet to take a look around. Then he'd climb almost all the way up the top of the tree and work his way down the right side of the trunk. About halfway down, he would hang from his back feet and stretch his arms out in front of him before scampering away. It was always great to see animals. I call this photo the visitor. I was just about to pack it in after photographing the sunset when I saw 2 bucks very close to my fence. I left my camera in place and kept whispering, "Walk to the hill, walk to the hill." Eventually both of them did, and one ended up in the frame. I loved watching the ravens. I remember the sunrise because it was one of several mornings that it was so cold my patio door froze shut. To get out to my yard, I would have to use a hairdryer to melt the ice on the door. This not only shows my dedication to the project, but it also proves I own a hairdryer. Snoopy made a flyby one day. This photo illustrates how I used my creativity to produce a unique photo when I wasn't provided a unique situation. I was always thinking of props I could use to add to the fun. When I set up Snoopy for his photo, I realized it wouldn't look realistic unless his propeller was spinning, so I used the canned air to make it spin. I marked the holidays with decorations and cameo appearances. This is me on Halloween with a mask, machete, and plastic skull. I took this shot in a hurry because I thought I was going to get arrested. As I was taking this photo, a family who was trick-or-treating walked nearby, and I heard the mother say, "Ooh, look at that." I had the idea of constructing a Stonehenge-like monument out of snow and had to wait for a winter storm to capture this image. Stonehenge was built during a blizzard, and it blew over 3 times while I was photographing it. I reconstructed it the next morning, but then it looked more like the statues on Easter Island. I found a kid's Darth Vader costume on sale for $3 and decided to create a tribute to Star Wars. I filled the costume with bubble wrap, tied it to one of my tripods, and placed it near the tree. I made the Death Star from a photo I took of the moon. It took me 3 hours to create this image, and it's an illustration of turning a vision into reality. I planned to shoot the full moon on Christmas Eve because I knew when and where it would rise. After it rose, I realized the moon was moving directly toward the center of the tree, and I waited 30 minutes to get this shot. This is a great example of how adapting to change can provide even better results than originally anticipated. This is the last sunrise I photographed. I did feel a deep sense of sadness when I captured this scene. Immediately afterwards, I turned on the computer in my office and learned of the death of David Bowie. I thought the sorrow I was feeling was somehow connected to the sadness being felt around the world. I did it. This is the last photo taken for the project. I reached my goal and learned many life lessons along the way that I used to inspire others. One of the biggest things I learned was that on most days, I was provided everything I needed if I simply showed up and was patient. Thank you.